What happens when you use basketball insoles in football boots? Time for an experiment. Welcome back to the lab, and today's test subjects are the Baseline and the Game Day Pro insoles from Move. Move are an insole company backed by NBA players such as Chris Paul and Damian Lillard. And they've kindly sent me 2 sets of their insoles to review today. Not the actual NBA stars themselves, like the company, people that work there. So the first one we're going to look at is the Baseline, and these are the ones which are recommended for football boots. It's made from what they call Move X foam, and it's lightweight, durable, with this kind of bouncy responsiveness to it as well. Then also, because of the foam and the kind of thickness to it, it's going to provide a lot of shock absorption. It also has this molded forefoot, so it conforms to not only the shape of your foot, but also the shape of your shoe as well. Move have this informative infographic of what these insoles are designed towards. And in terms of price, these will cost you $30. Then you have your Game Day Pro insoles. And these ones are built more towards explosive performance. First, you have the Pro base, which is made from this carbon infused composite, so it's strong, solid, and going to be adaptive to those more explosive movements as well. And then in the fourth, we have this kind of grippy material which is going to help you stabilize to your shoe, and then you also feel more connected to the shoe as well. And you also use what Move called Pro Dual Foam. So it's a mixture of 2 foams there: Pro Energy Foam, which is there for energy return, and then you have the Shock Free Foam, which is there for a more custom feel as well as shock absorption. And then in the heel, you have this little foam pad here which is there to reduce any kind of pressure you may feel in this area, as well as shock absorption. And a pair of these will cost you $65. So how do you test insoles is what you're probably wondering. Well, these are the things that need to be considered. Sizing, comfort, and performance. Those being considered, we also need a benchmark to measure against, which is why I'll be using the Nike Tiempo Legend 7 Elite to test against these insoles. So here's a brief look of what the insoles on the Tiempo kind of look like. Just a flimsy piece of foam. You've got a little bit of like pour on there for shock absorption, but other than that, very flimsy, a lot different to what you're going to get with the Move insoles. So let's compare the Move insoles with a regular football insole. So the Move insoles tend to be thicker than a regular football insole, as you can clearly see. So that was the Baseline, and now you can see it next to the Game Day Pro as well. Now this is important because since basketball insoles are thicker, they're going to change the way your boots fit and feel, because they're going to take up more volume in your boots. You can also see that football boots insoles tend to be, like I said earlier, very flimsy. Look at that, just very flexible, no real kind of structural rigidity to it. Now this is of course just one football boot insole, but generally speaking, a lot of them are like this kind of flimsy piece of foam. The only exception to this that I have seen is the Hyperbest Pro insole that is used in the Skechers Razor 1.5 and the 1. Whereas the Baseline seems to be a bit more reactive with the foam and has a bit more kind of structure to it as well. It's not as, flimsy and easy to fold. You can see it's a bit more elastic and durable. And the Game Day Pro is a mix of foam, but also here in the heel to the midfoot, you can see it's very rigid because of the Pro base, which will effectively act like a springboard inside your boots. In football boots, this kind of rigidity tends to be incorporated more into the sole plate rather than the insole though. Sizing is probably the most important thing when it comes to insoles, because these are not cut to size, so if you don't get the correct size, you have wasted your money. So it's important to get the right one the first time around. Now these are of course made for basketball shoes, and basketball shoes fit very differently to football boots. Football boots tend to fit a lot tighter and closer to your feet. For that reason, if you get a set of these insoles, I recommend going a size down. So I usually wear a 9.5 UK in football boots, so that is a US 10.5 or 10 depending on the brand. So in insoles, I should be getting a US 9 to 9.5 according to their website. Now for the comfort and fit, what I did was I used the Move insoles, so the Baseline and the Game Day Pro in my right foot, or my right boot, should I say, and then I kept the regular Tiempo insoles in the left boot. With the Baseline insoles, you definitely feel that they do take up a bit more volume inside your boots, but they also feel much more cushion on the foot than the regular Tiempo insoles. And in general, they made a comfortable boot just more comfortable. With the Game Day Pro insoles, it's similar. They do take up a bit more volume in your boots, especially in this area here. You can see there's kind of the support here, so on the instep of your boot, it does take up a bit more volume there. And the thing I was worried about with these insoles in terms of comfort was the Pro base. I thought the stiffness would make the boots feel a bit more uncomfortable. I was pleasantly surprised that the comfort was not compromised at all. You do feel a tad bit more firmness because of the Pro base though, but it's nothing to say that it made the boot uncomfortable. Still very comfortable in my opinion. Now the most important part is, what do they feel like to play in? To really get the most out of insoles, you need to do kind of specific tests to get the most out of them. And it also depends on the kind of sport you do as well. Football and basketball, there's like some similarities, but a lot of differences. But with football, there's loads of dynamic, short, explosive movements. And it's my preseason, so I'm doing a lot of running drills at the moment, not too much ball work, so I can really focus on the insoles. And what I did during some of the tests I did was that I used both feet to take off. So I pushed off with my right foot and my left foot as well, so I can get the kind of feeling between the different insoles when pushing off. With the baseline insoles, it's more of what I felt during like the initial comfort test, and it's like, really, that's what they're for. They're there to make boots feel more comfortable and cushioned. When doing the different drills, I could feel there was a bit more cushioning on the foot because of the insoles, and I guess because the shock absorption properties, I didn't feel the ground as much, if that makes sense. And overall, the baseline is just there to provide a more comfortable and smoother ride. And over a course of a 90-minute match, I'd imagine your feet would feel less fatigued in these insoles as opposed to a regular football insole. And it's no surprise these are the ones that Move actually recommend that you should use in football boots. The Game Day Pro was quite interesting though. When doing the different drills, I could definitely feel a bit more springiness in my step. I wouldn't say I was a faster runner because of it, but I just felt a bit more springy. I also noticed that my steps were softer as well. Again, that's me feeling less of the ground as I plant my foot to land. And I guess that's the Pro Base and the heel pad working in tandem together. I guess since these are made for basketball, when you land after you jump, you're landing a lot on your heels, I'd imagine, so you know, this is very much needed. And I can tell by the way they felt when I was using them that Move put a lot of effort into like making sure that stiffness from the Pro Base isn't necessarily felt when you're playing. And I really enjoy the sensation of like feeling your steps feel lighter even though you're running with a lot of force. Overall, I'm very impressed by both insoles. But if I had to recommend one to use for football boots, I'd go with what Move say and use the baseline. Not to say that the Game Day Pro is bad as such, but this kind of like rigidity and kind of springiness that you get from these insoles is already kind of really inbuilt into the sole plates of most football boots. So I don't think this might be a bit too much overkill. And really and truly, the baseline will improve any football boots. Really, you can have the best football boot in the world, you can have the most comfortable football boot in the world. The only way to improve it is by making it more comfortable, and the baseline will do that for you. Now, I've done these tests in a very kind of like, I wouldn't say reductive, but a very kind of particular way. And because of that, there's going to be some mitigating factors. One, of course, is like placebo. I kind of know what I'm looking for. You can say, you can trust me all you want, but you know, I can't necessarily disprove bias if someone does not trust me. So bear that in mind. Also, the insoles that are used in football boots will vary. Some are very thin and flimsy. Some have a bit more kind of structure and substance to them. No pun intended. One, for example, I think I've mentioned earlier in the video is the Skechers Hyperburst Pro. But yeah, if you feel like your football boots could be a bit more comfortable, the insoles is an easy place to kind of target, and the Move Baseline Insoles is one I definitely recommend if you're looking to make your football boots feel a lot more comfortable. I'll leave links to both these insoles in the description so you can check them out for yourselves. And that's been it for the video, guys. Hopefully it was of some substance. No pun intended. Well, yeah, pun was intended there. If it was, please like the video, subscribe to the channel. Usually it's mostly about football boots, but I do dabble in like football gear, so grip socks, other kind of stuff, insoles as well. I'm going to do a lot more insole work as well in the future. So if you wanted to know when those videos are out, be sure to subscribe, turn on bell notifications, and like always, my name is Sub. This has been Substance Football. Thank you for watching. See you next time.